Welcome to What is a Lutheran with Pastor Fred here at St. James Lutheran Church in Marion, Indiana. And today we're talking about the 9th and 10th commandments. In other words, we're closing out Luther's Small Catechism today. And so I'm going to read you the 9th and 10th commandment. They're kind of stuck together because they both talk about coveting, which I'll explain later, but they talk about coveting different things. And so the 9th commandment is stated, you shall not covet your neighbor's house. So this is talking about your neighbor's property. And Luther says about this, we should fear and love God so that we do not scheme to get our neighbor's inheritance or house or get it in a way that only appears right, but help and be of service to him in keeping it. This is about property, your cars, your house, equipment, all the things, land, all the things that you own that are not living and breathing. And then the 10th commandment also talks about coveting. It says, you should not covet your neighbor's wife, or his manservant, or maidservant, or ox, or donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor. We're talking about breathing stuff here. Luther says about this, we should fear and love God that we do not entice or force away our neighbor's wife, workers, or animals, or turn them against him, but urge them to stay and do their duty. So it's both talking about coveting, but it's talking about, the first one is talking about your inanimate objects, property, and the other is talking about living animals, people. Really, this commandment is these two commandments are about gratefulness and contentment. God is calling us to be grateful for everything that we have, everything that's given to us. Be grateful for those things. And we're to be content with our circumstances and not try to get our neighbor's stuff or everything that he has. So the question is, are we grateful? Well, think about some things that you can be grateful about. You're breathing air. You woke up this morning. You have food, hopefully, in your house. You have a family. Maybe you have your health, or at least in some way you have your health. Think of all those different things that you have. Don't think about what you don't have, but think about what you do have. We have a lot of things to be grateful for depending on our circumstances. Now, we can complain about a lot of stuff, definitively, yes. But we also have a lot of things we can be grateful for, the simplest little things. The next question is, are we content? Sometimes we always want more stuff, but are we content with what we have? The property we have, people we have in our life, and we're called to do that. Unfortunately, our sinful nature just always desires more. It's like there's never enough. There's always this coveting part of us, which we'll get to in a second, which is keeping up with the Joneses. We got to have what everybody else has. I've often told the story of a guy I knew in college, and I went to college in Idaho, kind of a landlocked state, right? And this one guy in the dorm had a diving watch because he actually went to California and off the Washington, Oregon coast and went diving. One of the things he did. So he bought a diving watch. And this is in the early 80s, so, not like they have today. But it was a diving watch meant to go down so many feet, not break and all that kind of stuff, waterproof. And so the other guy in the dorm, he had to have this too. And he went out and bought one. Now, he never went diving in his entire life, never had any plans to go diving. But because he liked that watch, he had to have it. There's a lack of being content there. So what is coveting? Well, that's the very definition of it right there. Coveting is seeing your neighbor's stuff and wanting it to the point that you might try to take it from your neighbor or get it in some way, lured away from him. Or you'll do something that maybe you shouldn't do to get something like that for yourself. Maybe do something illegal, or maybe even spend money that you really don't have to spend. But you have this desire, you have to have it, even though you may not actually need it. Now, we all covet different things. Some people covet other people's houses or their cars. A lot of people talk about, this guy's got the coolest car, I'd do anything to have that car. I've never coveted people's houses or cars. But I'll tell you what I do covet, books. I really covet people's libraries. I see books, I go, man, I wish I could afford to get that book, and so that's always been, we all have different things that we look at other people and go, man, I wish I had that. So there's that sinful part of us that wants that. So how do we keep this commandment? Well, by not coveting, right? Not trying to take your neighbor's stuff, even in legal ways. We talked last week or 2 weeks ago in the 7th commandment how sometimes we can legally steal, using laws to our advantages that have loopholes or doing things that may be questionably ethically, but are legal. And that's also breaking of this commandment. Also, not trying to lure away our neighbor's spouse or his workers. This coveting has led to, adultery. It's led to the breaking up of marriages, spouses cheating on one another. That's all the result of coveting. Not only breaking the 6th commandment, but breaking this 10th commandment of people. Also luring away workers, from you start a company and you want the best employees, so you go get these employees in this other company. Sometimes that's legal. But a lot of companies have what they call non-compete. So this commandament's even built into our society that if you work for company A over here and you decide to quit, or sometimes even if you're fired, you can't go work for company Z that's doing the exact same thing. They have a non-compete for maybe a year or 2. So that's kind of built in our society. But the whole thing is you're not trying to take away your neighbor's resources to be used for your good and at their expense. So what this commandment really comes down to, again, is being thankful for what we have, and helping our neighbor keep his stuff. It's not real complicated, but it's kind of a war within us about what we want in society. And the question is, where does this stuff come from? Where does all this coveting come from? Well, first of all, from our sinful nature. Just want stuff. We just want to accumulate things on this planet, even though we're only going to be here 70, 90 years. We think this is it. But another thing is in our society is advertising, on both TV and the newspaper and social media. They're always putting things, you gotta have this, the newest version of this. Or look what your neighbors have, look what they're doing, you gotta have that too. And we go, oh yeah, I gotta have that, Or walking through the mall and seeing all the great things in there, the way they're advertising things, just creates this desire for things that we never thought we actually needed or wanted before, and all of a sudden we do. We want the newest TV, the newest phone, the newest computer, the newest gadget, the newest book about this. And again, that's my thing, newest book about that. So another thing is keeping up appearances. Everybody else has a new car. Everybody else has this type of new clothing. I've got to wear these particular types of jeans. Another reason is people trying to be happy. If I buy more stuff, I'll be happy. So people get depressed or overstressed, they go shopping. Let's go shopping. We'll buy some stuff. Again, for no real good reason. Pride. I don't want to look like I'm behind the times. Type of stuff. So now, is it wrong to want stuff? No, it's not wrong to want stuff. It's not wrong to have ambition, to get ahead in your job, to build up your business, or to get a higher position in whatever company you're working in, or to get more stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. God gives us these gifts and trains us to have jobs and stuff like that to get all this stuff. So there's nothing wrong with wanting more stuff or getting more stuff. It's just putting it in proper perspective of, is that desire overriding to the point that it's sinful, to the point that you've got to have it no matter what, and you're willing to do things that you shouldn't be doing, or just not wise to do to get it. Why do you want that, I guess, is the question. So if you want a bigger house, that's not necessarily wrong. I guess the question is, why do you want that bigger house? If you want more money, not wrong. Why do you want that more money? So this commandment really comes down to being thankful for what God has given you, being thankful for what you have, not for what you don't have, and being content with what you have, no matter what the circumstances are, and realizing that everything comes from God, and that ultimately we are going to God. And that old saying, you can't put a luggage rack on a hearse. can't take it with you when you go. All the stuff you have, you're leaving to somebody else. So, real riches are in heaven. That's the 9th and 10th commandment, and that's the close of Luther's Small Catechism. Next 2 weeks, we're going to be doing listeners' questions, which we've gotten a number in. Very hard questions, some of them too, by the way. So it'll be interesting. I won't get to all the questions that you guys have submitted. Not possible, because I want to do justice to the ones that I have gotten. So we'll do these questions or these listener question things periodically. So if your question doesn't get answered next 2 weeks, don't worry. It'll get answered later, and keep submitting questions. It's always good to have more things to talk about. So again, we will see you next week. Thank you for joining us for What is Lutheran with Pastor Fred here at St. James Lutheran Church in Marion, Indiana. Peace out.